Welcome to Beyond the Guidelines, the podcast that takes you past the listings, the programs, and all the polished sales talk to reveal the real people shaping today's real estate world. Here we uncover the personal stories, struggles, and wins that define each guest, giving you a fresh, human perspective on the business. At Creative First Mortgage, we're on a mission to help you see the person behind the professional, because real estate isn't just about the deals, it's about connection.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Guideline. So before I get started, I just want to say how happy I am to have Stacey here on the podcast today. I've known you for, how long? 100 years?
It's
been a long time.
Yeah. Feels like
Before
a really
the big crash, I think of 08, you were working non-QM. So yeah, I've known you for quite some time. I know who you are, but let's just take a minute if you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Sure. Stacey Eads, and I'm with Freedom Mortgage. I am a 30-year veteran of this industry. I don't know if it was luck or a curse that I got into it in my early 20s. And the exhilaration of it kept me in. When I started, I didn't even know what was in a file. I was handed what we called a matrix back then, just you look off of the categories and you go out in the field and you find a loan. And so that's how I learned how to be in the business. But 30 years later, all the technology that goes into play, just knowing guidelines and knowing how to get things done, it sucked me in, and I've been here ever since.
Yep. And so did you used to be a loan originator as well?
Yeah, I sure did. And I've processed and I've ran a branch. I've ran an interim construction branch. I've sold an MI. I've represented an AMC. You name it, I've done it pretty much. I've never been a full-fledged senior underwriter, but I've done all the junior underwriter tasks in the past. So I am very well versed from backwards and forwards on how to get a loan done.
Yeah. And I think it's helpful too to know all aspects of the loan process, especially in your position. But why don't you tell everybody kind of what is your day-to-day kind of look like as an account executive, as a representative of Freedom Mortgage?
Well, so the day can be drastic, from sitting at your desk and doing a bunch of follow-up calls every day, or out in the field. Like I do travel a pretty extensive territory. So, if you don't get out in the field, your phone doesn't ring a lot of times, especially in the down times like we're in right now. So my day usually starts really early, get some prayer time, some clarity time, get my to-do list together. Then if I'm at my desk all day, then I do follow-up calls and I look at my loans in the pipeline and I try to see where they're at, if they're hung up, if there's something that I need to do to nudge it over the edge to get it going. And then there's a lot of, just this kind of stuff. Hey, what are you doing today? What have you got going on? What's out there that I can help you with? Just a lot of customer service. That's really my day.
Yeah, it's very similar, right, to kind of how I start my day off, right? In this business, we need a lot of prayer and meditation to get your mind fit in the morning, because it is very demanding and very grueling. But we kind of use the same kind of, I don't want to call it tactics, but kind of the same processes, for me to go find a real estate agent that I want to work with, or, other agencies that we want to bring on board and see what we can do to help them close more deals. How do you typically find that loan officer that you want to look for? Like, what's kind of your way to, to find business in your position?
Well, being in it as long as I have a lot of deep connections, and really it's just looking at who is doing what. Freedom Mortgage doesn't do non-QM, so some of the leads that I used to work, the people that do a lot of non-QM would not be my ideal customer now. So I just look at the people that do the type of loans that I do, and what are some of their hangups about what they're doing with their current lender. Is it a program that they don't have? Is it maybe their underwriting has gotten too strict? Or, where is my strike point, really? If they're disgruntled or tired or frustrated with a lender that they're using, then that's my time to step in.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of, and it's a little bit of a grind, right? Like we've seen
Sure
the
is.
top of the top, back in 2020 where, all I had to do was pick up a phone. And now like kind of the shift of the market has definitely changed both of our, the way we do business on a daily basis. What's your
Sure.
take on like how the broker business is currently set up now?
Well, everybody is virtual. And like you said, in 2020, when COVID hit, everybody went virtual like overnight. So it's rare to find people in their offices these days. So you really have to have a way of getting their attention outside of that. So, maybe that is calls like this, lots of Zoom calls. There could be, everybody does an email or whatever, but you have to know the way that LO wants to be contacted. Some people don't pick up the phone. They don't answer the phone anymore. Then how are you going to get a hold of them? Then it's text or bombs, videos, or
Yep.
Zoom. And, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. But the difference is, once you make that contact with them and they know that they can rely on you to be there when they're in a pinch, after you do that a few times and you bail them out and you tell them that you can be trusted, then they will call you.
Yeah. So I hear technology a lot. We talk a lot about technology on our podcast because if you're not using current technology, you really kind of get left in the dust. And, a lot of people talk about AI, which is obviously the big one. Video, we've used a lot in our business as well. Are you guys using AI, or are you personally having to use AI to kind of help with, I don't know, finding guidelines or coming up with strategies? Tell me a little bit about if you do use it, like how does that help you in your business?
Yeah, sure. So yes, Freedom does use some AI technologies in our process. I won't go into too much of it, mainly because I don't know the exact ins and outs of it, but I do know that we utilize it as far as getting the process from underwriting and get your loan cleared close. So there's some use of it there. As far as I use it, yeah, of course, I use some Chat GPT, but also Freedom provides the AEs with a program that has our overlays as well as the GSEs and HUD. And so I can easily just click something and ask it a question, and it will show me my overlays if there's any that exist, as well as where the destination of the file is going. So it's real helpful. Like if you called me and said, hey, I've got a chapter 13 issue, so tell me what I need to find out about that, and I can easily quote you something within minutes.
Yeah, I think I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I think we just went over a load this week about it. And by the way, that is in progress. So I'll actually get with you after this.
Yeah, sure.
To talk about getting it started. But okay, so here's something that I think that a lot of folks struggle with in our business is really like you mentioned, trust, right? You mentioned people trust you. You mentioned the fact that you've been in this business long enough to kind of know the people in the industry and the people that you want to work with. But I know a lot of loan officers, and I'm sure you probably deal with this too, is like there's kind of a loyalty issue, I feel like, that a lot of us struggle with, right? So I guess my question is like, what would loyalty to you mean in your profession? For me, it would be a realtor that trusts me when things may not go great on a deal, or if there's a miscommunication, that they trust that I have it going on and that I'm telling them what's happening with their file. What about you?
It's the same. I mean, it's really the same concept. But I know that there's other people down the line from me. So with you, then there's the realtor, and then there's the borrower. So there's a lot more impact as far as I'm concerned on how well that file goes. So the trust is built on one thing I feel like is the baseline of my integrity in this industry is say what you do and do what you say. And so if you call me and I say to you, don't worry, I've got this, it's going to make it on time, I want you to be able to put that in the bank and rely on it, because that having my word out there is just like the old-fashioned handshake. If I tell you I'm going to do something, if it's within my realm whatsoever, it's going to get done. And that's just the way I live by on my personal life and in my business life.
Yeah. So, for us too, we have to have the trust in folks like you, right? Because what you tell us, we are going to convey to our clients. So it's super important for us to not only have a good relationship with our agents and our borrowers, but we also have to have a good relationship with our investors, with our lenders like you, because I can't rely on someone that's going to tell me one thing just to get a deal in the door, because a lot of AEs are just yes people, right? They just say, get it in, especially when they're slow. They hey, just throw it in. And you know what? Okay, we'll throw it in, but at least I know that we're throwing it in. Like Stacey, you'll tell me, Jason, like this, we were talking about a deal with a little bit of hair on it, right? And because, sometimes that's what happens. And, your honesty to go, Jason, it appears that our guidelines are good to go on it. However, we got to get it in underwriting. We got to see what's going to happen with the file. There's a lot of moving parts. So now I can relay to my clients, right? Like, hey, this is where we are. It looks like we can get it done, but there's going to have to go through a full underwriting process manually. They're probably going to come up with some additional questions, and they do have concerns about X, Y, and Z. Just wanted to make you aware before we move forward. That's really the good way where I think loyalty can come into play a lot. Another thing I wanted, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and sometimes a quick no is worth 1,000 words. Look, if you call me and I am really struggling to put this together, a quick no is probably best for our relationship, so that I don't put you through some unneeded stress, or your borrower don't get their hopes up that something's going to work out if you really feel deep down that it's a no.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really where your reputation in this business comes from, right? What you say and what you do, you're going to be remembered by. And let's face it, we're going to drop the ball sometimes. We're humans. We have a lot of volume coming in. We have a lot of moving parts. We have to rely on a lot of other people. It's funny, like we were drawing out from beginning to end all the tasks that we have to do as loan officers from application to close. We had 76 things written on our whiteboard, trying to determine how do we get these out? And it would be everything from, sending a text out or, making a copy and putting it in this folder. But there's a lot of things that have to be done. So, as you do the right things and build your reputation, I think, that's really important for me. And I know it is for you. So in this industry, what do you want to be remembered by? Like, let's talk about reputation, because I think it's important. And I know we have some ideas kind of bigger than our job. But in terms of your profession, how do you want to be remembered as, reputation wise in this business?
I would love for people to just remember me as trustworthy. And I'm a go-getter. I really don't mind the daily grind. I mean, everybody gets tired of that eventually. But, you have to hit the floor every day and want to do something positive with your day to get through this business. I mean, it can wear you down a lot. So I want to be remembered as being positive. I like having friends in this business. Most of my customers I consider really good friends. So, that's, and being trustworthy. I mean, that's it just all comes back to that. I want people to go, if I send this to Stacey, she's going to tell me the truth.
Mm-hmm. How did we pick this industry, Stacey?
I have no idea.
But like, I think I've been in this business about 25 years myself. And sometimes I feel like, and I tried to leave it 3 times.
Me
and
too.
I keep getting stuck back. The problem is we're good at it, number one. Mm-hmm. And if you're good at it, it could be very rewarding monetarily.
That's true.
But I don't know. My success is good.
Oh, I was just going to say, and a part of that is what I what I love about this is I direct traffic all day. That's really my job. The traffic is the file comes in, but I tell it where to go and how to get there. And I do this, and I'm like, okay, now you're clear for close, or, now you're good for a CD. And that's the part that keeps me going, is because I can help direct that traffic and help people be comfortable with the process.
So other than loans, so I'm going to tell you, like, something that I personally struggle with is I never really give myself grace. And I'm so, I'm in the operations side, right? So business development is something that I do all day, every day. And so I measure my success at least by volume, by loans, by numbers. And sometimes we don't give ourselves a credit on where we are and what we're doing. And I know that me and you don't measure success just by loan volume. So I'll ask you a deeper question outside of what you're doing on a daily basis in your work life. How do you measure your success personally as a person?
Wow. Yeah, I'm I am really getting down deep into that these days. And there's just a lot of personal things that have been going on in my life since COVID. And, I think the biggest part is that you have to remember the golden rule. And that's how I'm measuring myself these days is, and do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I mean, I think everybody should live by that on a daily basis, but I'm trying my best to measure my life as a whole by that, is doing the right things, but by somebody else, and not just focusing on what it is for you every day.
I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and I'm like, man, I'm turning the back nine, I'm pushing, 50 years old, and, all these, but it's like, we're trying to measure what success really is. And I don't like to call things midlife crisis. I just you have this intuition on, gratitude just becomes a little bit greater, right? As you get older, and things that used to be so important to you when we were younger are starting to be less important. And the more things that I can do to, my business, I want my business to run without having me be there 50 to 60 hours a week. Now, do we need to be there? Yeah, sure. But I want to make sure I have time with my kids and my wife. And I really want them to understand the value that hard work can give you, but hard work also can give you your time back. So I think doing business the right way and doing the best you can, and knowing you're doing the best you can without lying, cheating, stealing, I think number one, it kind of removes that feeling of that pressure, because you're always honest. And like you said, sometimes a no is the best thing.
That's right. I mean, that takes the pressure off of everyone. If you know for a fact that you can't get something done, you want to do the best job possible. But if you cannot get that done, and let me add, with efficiency, and where it doesn't just absolutely stress everyone out, that you have now jeopardized a business relationship and a personal relationship, then that does not need to be done. Some people would still just beat that down until it got into submission. And I probably did that a lot when I was much younger. But nowadays, I'm more selective, especially with the people that I work with. Like I mentioned a minute ago, I consider my customers my friends. And if we can't actually have some kind of civil bond outside of talking about a loan, then we're probably not matched well. And I might not be your best AE, because I'm going to take your personal life into consideration as well as the business that you bring to the table.
I love that. And I feel the same way when I talk to my realtor partners. My realtor partners are my friends. We respect each other. We respect each other's time. And sometimes not everyone's a good fit. Realtors love y'all, but I may be the best, loan officer for your clients. If we're not meshing, it may not work out. That's just the reality of it. I feel fortunate that, I'm able to not have to try to get every single one's business. That's just not my mindset anymore. I don't know that quantity is as good as quality. Right. And this goes in my life as well, right? So do I need 100 realtors to send me business, or do I need 15 loyal, awesome realtors that I love to talk to every day. There's something to be said about like where we want to be. So I don't know. That's kind of my thought on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think?
I'm not every LO's cup of tea either, because maybe I'm a little bit too vocal about, hey, you need to do it like this, or you know, there's different things, and not every personality on this planet is meant to mesh with, together in a business environment. So with the maturity in this industry, I now am very selective about the people that I want to spend my time with working, because I'm going to work hard. I am going to work really hard for you, but I want you to also appreciate that. And with that is self-respect for myself and the respect for your business and not wasting your time.
Yeah, I agree. Before I let you go, Stacey, this was great, by the way. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I love it. Absolutely.
So, I mean, we've been seeing the shift in this market, kind of to go back to where we are. I just wanted to get your personal take. What are you seeing in terms of, volume, type of loans? Like, where do you see this going? What have you seen in the last couple of quarters to make you think of where we may be going in this industry?
Wow. Okay. Well, so it is kind of a scatter of things right now, truly.
Yeah.
We've seen people go out and start their own brokerage like you've done. And there's quite a bit of that. But there's also quite a bit of the ones that maybe not as established, and they want to go to a bank or a credit union or somewhere where they can have some stability. And that's okay, because everybody needs that certain part of their life, right? So if you're not going to a bank or a credit union and you've not established your own, then it leaves those really big box brokers or the large correspondents where people can be what we used to call a net branch, where you just hang your license and you don't necessarily need an office space and they just carry it for you. So if you're a heavy hitter, those people are paying a lot of money for you right now. But you're also signing a contract. And if you're not performing, you have to pay that back. So be very careful about, chasing the carrots, because there's always something behind it, right? Nothing is for free. But there's quite a few of people that have just said, look, I'm just going to start my own gig. And, maybe they've never been self-employed before. And this year has been just mountains of struggle. I don't care what business you're in. Everything has struggled this year. And so those brand new offices, we see them just really trying to get their name out there and get something going. So it's really all over the board. A lot of non-QM this year, but also from what I've heard, and luckily I'm not doing non-QM right now, it's kind of chasing a carrot too, because different lenders that are delegated correspondent lenders that are not the last answer on that file, those people can get caught up with not having the right conditions and reconditioning a file, and and it goes on forever and ever. So non-QM is out there. It's going gangbusters. Everybody wants to be a part of it, but some of the players don't know how to actually perform. So I don't know if you see that, but I have a lot of connections still in the non-QM world, and people are pulling their hair out.
Yeah, as you know, when you were at your other company, we were gangbusters, and I've always kind of been a non-QM guy. And really, when rates got up to 8% on, conventional, thankfully, we opened up our company a little over a year ago, right? Great timing. Like everything was really difficult. Rates were as high as they've ever been. But, because I was able to navigate the non-QM part, in Birmingham, where we are, or Birmingham area, actually, where I do most of my business, Jefferson and Shelby County. there's still plenty of people that want to buy investments because it's still affordable. We have people from Colorado, New York, California, and that really kind of kept me busy. But the good news is we are seeing rates come down. We're not, this is not a rate quote. This is just me, Stacey, talking that, sending me a 4.75 on an FHA deal. I mean, that's big stuff. So the good news is, we're partnered with Stacey. She does some difficult stuff. She does some challenging stuff. And, what do we focus on? We want to help people that don't have perfect credit. We've always been a shop that wants to help first-time home buyers that don't have 20% down, that need programs exactly what you have. So we're happy that you're part of our team, and we want to get you busy. Let's
bring it on.
Awesome. Well, Stacey, thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. I love it.
Today's episode of Beyond the Guidelines comes to a close, but the story doesn't end here. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next one. And if you'd like to share your own story on the show, check out the link in the description to connect with us. Until next time, keep rewriting the rules and remember to go beyond the guidelines.